They said, "He has done everything well. He even makes the deaf to hear and the dumb to speak. He has done everything well." Well, clearly whoever wrote that, or the people who said that, were not with him in Tyre, because there Jesus was extremely rude. The rudeness of Tyre. Because the story, it's kind of funny, because it's not funny, but it's interesting how we have two stories in the gospel today. The one at the end, that's what I'm referring to, and everybody's like, "Oh, Jesus, you're the greatest, you've done this wonderful thing." But I really want to think about that first story, which really annoys me. And in part, I wish Mark hadn't put it in, because it kind of shatters some of my images that I have of Jesus as being a really perfect person. But in the first story, Jesus is not only rude, he's racist. This woman, this Gentile, this Greek comes to him, and her daughter is sick. And not only does Jesus brush her off, he calls her a dog. Boy, you've heard that recently too, haven't you? She says, "My daughter is sick." But because she was not Jewish, Jesus said, "Well, it's not fair, it's not right, it's not fitting to throw the children's bread to the dogs." In other words, I haven't come to help people like you. I've come to help the Jewish people, my own people. Now, you could try to explain it away by saying, well, Jesus had gone to a Gentile city. He wanted to have some R&R. He was kind of on holiday, if you like. He was on vacation. And he didn't want anybody to know that he was there. He wanted some quiet time. And then this woman kind of showed up and was annoying, begging him. And he snapped at her. Very human instinct, right? Yeah? But I don't think it's my place to explain away Jesus' rudeness and racism. Jesus rude, Jesus racist, how can that be? Well, Jesus was human like you and I. And maybe part of the problem isn't Jesus at all. Maybe part of the problem is me. Because I placed him on such a pedestal, because he's God after all, that then he really ceases to be human. I mean, we say, yes, Jesus is fully God and fully human. But I think we all struggle. We have a hard time with Jesus as a human being. Because it's far safer to have him as God, because then he's not really one of us. He's kind of one step removed. And I can never really be like him, and therefore maybe not everything that he says is relevant to me, because I'm not God. I'm not God. Well, it turns out that Jesus was very much human, as we've seen today. And so, although it annoys me, I'm grateful that Mark has included this challenging story. Somebody said actually after the 8 o'clock service that their grandfather used to say to him, you know what, the credibility of the Bible is that it leaves the bad bits in. What makes the Bible, what makes the Scriptures credible is that it doesn't gloss over the difficulties. The Scriptures don't make excuses. I mean, you think about any of the heroes in the Bible. I mean, David, he was pretty darn human too, right? His affair with Bathsheba, for instance, and sending her husband Uriah the Hittite off into the thick of battle, knowing that he would get killed, and then he could, comfort Bathsheba and take her in. And many other stories like that. And Jesus too. Jesus was a human, just like you and just like me. It's hard acknowledging our faults. But what I want to think about is the reaction that the woman had to Jesus, because she showed enormous courage. I mean, yes, her daughter was sick, and so she was just being a mama then. Because this was the man who could make a difference. But she stood up to him. She stood up to Jesus. Sir, yes, that's true. Lord, Kyrie, what you say is true, but even the dogs eat the crumbs from under the children's table. Wow. I wonder if she had rehearsed that ahead of time, in a way. I wonder if she was kind of expecting to get some pushback from Jesus, this Jewish rabbi. But she had it down, didn't she? And I'm proud of her. Speaking truth to power, that's what she did. She spoke truth to power. And Jesus, bless him, he changed his mind. Clearly he was taken aback. I don't know what he was expecting us to say. Maybe he was expecting her just to go away and leave him alone. But he said, for saying that, your daughter has been made well. Jesus changed his mind. We're living in a peculiar age, are we not? We're living in an age of great change, and it is a little bewildering, especially for people like me. You know, I was born at the end of the period of white male privilege. That's the world that I grew up in. And being white and being male, I was brought up to use that privilege to help out and speak on behalf of others. To use my privilege to give voice to those who had no voice, and to give a helping hand to those who didn't have power and privilege like me. That's not a bad impulse. Actually, though, I've come to learn recently that that was only part of the journey. That actually I'm being called to go much further than that. I feel, and I've come to understand, that like Jesus, I've had to change my mind. I've had to evolve my thinking. That what I've come to understand is that those of us with a special privilege, so if you're white, and particularly if you are male, our task is to become less, so that those who previously have had no power and who have had no voice can become more. So my task isn't really to speak on behalf of others. My task is to use my privilege to create space so that those people can speak for themselves. I'm not a woman. I'm not a person of colour. I'm not a person who's being disadvantaged. So what gives me the right, or how can I possibly think I can speak for them? I have no clue. But what I can do is kind of use my privilege and create space so that they can speak for themselves. And to use my privilege so that they can have power for themselves. And it's hard. It's hard to evolve, it is hard to change. I've had guys come to me and say, well, I don't know where all this has come from. You know, years ago there weren't any problems. It was okay. Nobody said anything to me. Well, of course they didn't say anything to you because they couldn't. Because you were the person of power. Well, I didn't know I had any power. Well, you know now. And of course women, and of course people of colour, and immigrants, and people with no voice didn't say anything because they couldn't. So of course you thought it was okay. But now we've come to know that it was never really okay. And we're in a different place. And this is not just the development of social consciousness. This actually is the kingdom of God. This is the kingdom of God. And just as Jesus evolved, so we are evolving. And it's a good thing. It's not an easy thing, but it's a good thing. And those of us with power and privilege, maybe I need to be open. Maybe I really need to listen. Because not everybody will be like the Syrophoenician woman and really let me have it. Maybe the pushback is much more subtle or much more low-key. But this is the kingdom word. This is the kingdom word. And finally, from Isaiah, he says, do not fear. Here is your God.